What is up, everybody? Luke Film Boss here, and today I am going to be reviewing Journey to Bethlehem. There's a lot of good things that I have to say about this film, but there are also a few negatives, so I want to get the negatives out of the way first. The first one being that the dialogue could use some work. There is a lot of scenes where the dialogue and conversations between characters is a little bit cringy. It just doesn't flow naturally, and that's definitely a big problem. Also, I think that there are some scenes where the movie just tries being a little too silly. Some scenes, the jokes and the humor of the movie actually work, while other scenes, it just feels really out of place. One big example being when the angel Gabriel comes to tell Mary that she's going to be the mother of the Messiah. He's kind of like trying to figure out what he's going to say when he comes down, and then he bumps his head on the door frame. It's like, okay, this just feels out of place for this scene. But it didn't ruin the movie, because then right after that, the interaction with Gabriel and Mary actually works pretty well. I just don't understand what all the silly humor beforehand was about. I don't think that the humor or some of the changes made to the story are made with ill intent. I think that they are meant well, but it just comes off a little bit strange. One of the biggest problematic elements of this movie is the fact that this movie tries to modernize and almost Americanize Mary's personality to the point where it doesn't make sense to the time and culture that the movie takes place in. Like, there should have been no question or no struggle for Mary to even become a teacher, because in that time period, women couldn't even become teachers, so it doesn't make sense that that would be something she desires to do, or that she has to struggle with that, oh, I have to get married and I can't follow my dreams. It doesn't make sense, because she by law wouldn't be able to do that anyway, so it doesn't make sense as to why she would have so much problem with the arranged marriage. The arranged marriage itself, I don't think there's a problem that they had Mary having this internal struggle about it, but I don't think she would have made as big of a deal of it as she did in this movie. But those are just things that mainly affect the movie during the beginning stages. The movie does get a little bit better as the movie goes along, and those problems aren't really apparent anymore. But there are definitely certain things in there that, don't really make much sense to the time and culture, and those are definitely important things that you have to get right in a movie like this, especially being that it is a historical film and it's dealing about the Virgin Mary and the birth of Christ. The movie does get better, and so I was able to overlook that element. Now on to the good stuff. From a production point of view, this movie is actually really solid. The cinematography isn't like award worthy or anything, but it is very solid. There's some very beautiful, massive shots of landscapes, and then there's a lot of good camera movement here. The sets, the costumes, the hair and makeup, they're all done very well to make this believable from a visual standpoint that you're in that time period. And you can definitely tell that the people working on this movie knew what they were doing. The sets, they all look really good. I like Herod's throne room. It's very massive and scary, and like, sure, it's not like you're gonna have nightmares, but it's like definitely makes him intimidating, even though his character as a whole kind of doesn't do much in the movie. But that's beyond the point. The movie looks like, from a visual perspective, is really good. The acting is solid. The characters, once again, there is problems with the script, but overall the actors do a good job. I think Joel Smallbone does the best performance, but even Mary and Joseph, the acting wasn't the problem. It was definitely the script that makes it a little bit cringy. It was not the actor's fault in the slightest, I don't think. And there are some scenes where the writing is a little bit better, and so they're able to shine a little bit more. And so that's a good thing. I think Herod as a character does work, but he does fall into this pitfall of not being an active threat, not being an active villain. He's just sitting in his throne room telling people what to do, and then that causes problems, but he himself doesn't really seem menacing. He seems very silly at times, and then there's other times where, yeah, he seems a little bit more like a villain, but overall, I don't think Herod was utilized as much as he could have been. I think for the most part, this movie was trying to stay lighthearted, but definitely they could have used Herod a little bit better. The thing that really makes this movie shine is the music. This is a musical version of the Nativity Story, and it fully delivers on that. And that's why I liked the movie for the most part. Once again, there is other things that I liked about the movie, but the music was really what brought this otherwise slightly cringy, generic telling of the Nativity Story to a whole new level. Once again, it's not like a masterpiece movie, but the music is actually, I think that there are some songs in here that maybe could, if Hollywood would actually take notice of this movie, could be nominated for like a best original song in the Oscar ceremony. Like, the music is that good. A movie that I would compare this film to is The Greatest Showman, because The Greatest Showman was a movie where it was kind of like a generic movie. It wasn't like the best made movie ever, but the songs, the music kind of brought it to a new level. Overall, I don't even think The Greatest Showman was a good movie, but the music just makes it so much better. And that's kind of the case here, whereas if the music wasn't in this movie, I don't think I would give it a good review. But the music is just so well written. It sounds beautiful, and a lot of the choreography and the visual things going on just make it really fun to watch. There's some interesting little things that they put in the songs, and a lot of the songs do progress the plot. They do give you more insight into the characters, which is how a good musical should work. And so because of that, I'm able to look at this movie and say, yes, they did a good job, even if some of the finer details don't make sense or are a little bit poorly written. The music is definitely what sold this movie for me. And once again, these music numbers are absolutely phenomenal, beautiful, and it really ties the whole movie together. So that is basically my take on Journey to Bethlehem. It has its problems, it has its strengths, and it has a lot of fantastic music, and it just makes for a fun time. It's a very lighthearted movie with a little bit of suspense, but not too much. Overall, it's just a great time. I would definitely say it's a good movie to watch with your kids, your family, your older adults. I mean, if they aren't into musicals, then obviously they're not going to want to watch this movie. But I think that it's definitely a film that a lot of Christian families can enjoy. I'm not sure that this movie is exactly going to bring in a whole lot of new believers, but it's solid entertainment for Christian families. This movie takes the story of Jesus' birth and the Nativity seriously enough that there are actually some really good, powerful, emotional moments that come along with the birth of Jesus. While, once again, historically and culturally, there are some problems here, it doesn't take away from the overall story being told. It's still dealt with a lot of reverence and respect, while there are some scenes that I think are a little too silly. It does work, and it's a solid, fun family film. I give Journey to Bethlehem an 81% in quality, a 79% in enjoyment, for an overall score of 80%. Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Film Boss.